I love this question. Let me see, where was it? It was a would you rather from Jen. Would you rather record in a more lively sounding room or a dead but boxing sounding closet? I don't know if we have to pick one, but just talk through that. I mean, I know you and I both recorded in lots of apartments and houses and living rooms.
You've spent a lot of time in the closet, so I feel like that this is a good. But I mean, it sounds like a joke, but honestly, like the first 10 years of my life was every vocal was in a closet and every guitar amp was in a closet.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, I'm of the opinion that tends to fuck you more than help you. Because when you get that boxed in sound, it's easier in a bigger room to just put up your mattress or something and kill the room a little bit that way than it is to like de-box a closet, you know, at least in my experience.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go for it. Go.
I was going to say, I think there are some songs that probably, if you hear some extra room and you want it to be really tight, then you would want to take a little bit of boxiness over the boom of the room. But I would say 9 times out of 10, I'd much rather do it in a big room. I mean, you're not going to be doing it in like a echo chamber or something where it's going to be crazy. But like the difference between this living room here, where it's got ceilings, I'd much rather record something, and I have already here, than like try to stuff it in a closet. Because when you get into a closet, you get all these weird short reflections that are just going to make everything sound kind of strange and hard to EQ. Especially
if the singer's loud.
Yeah.
If they're loud, I'd rather have them in a bigger room, because it seems like in closets, when somebody's like, if you get a Brian Dales and you put him in a closet, like it would, like he belts so loud that I think the sound of the closet would overtake him.
You get weird bouncing of the mid-range and the low mids, and the tone of the voice is things are going to get very strange.
Exactly. And I think that what a lot of people don't pay enough attention to is polar patterns. And so everybody will get, one of those SE reflection filters or whatever, and it goes behind the mic. And you forget that the microphone, most microphones are cardioid, and designed to block the behind the mic, but they're picking up everything behind the singer. So in a lot of times, you're actually going to get better isolation if you put the treatment behind the singer. Because if they're kind of near a wall and that you get that splash off the wall, it's going to be nulled by the mic.
Yeah.
But what you're going to be hearing in your echo is actually what's coming off the back wall back into the mic. So not only is that more distracting because it's got a bit more time to it, it's going to be 30, 40 milliseconds. That's where people pick it up. So often people sing into treatment, but like behind a live wall, and don't understand why they're getting fucked, because their voice is going around the treatment in a big room, bouncing everywhere. But the thing that you're really hearing is the splash off the wall behind you coming back into the mic.
That's a really good, it makes total sense. And it's a really great point. I think people should really learn about what a microphone, what patterns. I mean, most microphones that people are using are cardioid. I mean, you can have omni, you can have figure eight. People should understand what those things are, not just what they are, but cardioid is not just you have a microphone and then it picks up like this amount of sound. Cardioid is actually sort of a bubble, a spherical half bubble type of thing around the microphone. And so it's important to understand what that means it's picking up and what it's not picking up. Where if you have cardioid pattern, like this microphone here, in front of it, there's basically like a big bubble here, but behind it, it's actually canceled. Right. And so, like you said, putting something, if I'm singing here into the microphone, something behind me is going to make more sense to try to knock down some of the sound. And it's important to also know about proximity effect, which happens with cardioid, where when
But
go for it, yeah.
How that's different. Ow, my foot dropping names. There was a Sia song that we had done with Neon Hitch. And because it was like a Sia song, it really needed like a lot of body. And every way we were recording Neon, it was just too thin. And I had an M149, which I rarely use, but it has a hypercardioid pattern. And what people don't realize is hypercardioid, aside from the fact that there's really good rejection, when you get really up on it, there's a ton of proximity effect. So
even more than cardioid, which already has more than cardioid.
Yeah. And so like I love recording guitars with figure eight mics because there's less proximity effect and you can put it right up against the grill. Yeah. And to me, it gives a more in the room sound. But in this case, I knew that if I switched to this mic and went hypercardioid, I could beef her up a little bit before EQ, before whatever. And then especially right off the mic, she gave this great performance because all of a sudden she had just all of this weight that wasn't in there when we were using the 251, which is arguably a better mic. But that's a great example of, for this particular project, for this thing, doing hypercardioid and having that like exaggerated proximity effect really helped out her, you know.
So to explain it for some people, what we're talking about is the polar patterns of microphones, and not all microphones have switchable polar patterns. Most are cardioid, which is a mostly front-facing way that the capsule picks up the audio. But there's options for some microphones to switch to Omni, which is everywhere, figure 8, which is sort of equally on both sides, but a slightly different looking pattern than cardioid. And then there's hypercardioid, which is sort of a narrowed version of cardioid. And what we're talking about with proximity effect is, as you get closer to the microphone, the frequency range or the frequencies change in that you'll get more low end the closer you get to the microphone. So if you guys are recording vocals at home, I mean, you know, try the difference between recording something like this and then recording something like this. And not only will it get louder, but the low end will get a lot bigger too. And that's a really important thing to learn about, both as a mixer, as a vocal producer, when you're coaching people, when something's too boomy. A lot of people, just their instinct, you know, you look at rappers on stage and they're just on a microphone like this. Right. It turns out the microphone's going to sound much better like this. When you watch seasoned people perform, it's a different kind of thing. And that's a really important part of vocal production, is understanding what the microphone does, what the pattern is, how that affects how it's going to sound, how close people should be. These are all really important aspects of vocal production. I think a lot of people don't know.
And how much of the room it's going to pick up. Like, and there's pluses and minuses to everything. So like an Omni is picking up equally all the way around the microphone. But the cool thing is Omni has virtually no proximity effect. Yep. So like as you go in, and as a general rule, the tighter the pattern, there's usually more proximity effect. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people, like you take the U47 and you think when it was built, U47s were made. That's back when engineers were actually engineers. They're called engineers because they were in lab coats. They were nerds, you know?
Yep.
And if you watch any, like Sinatra or anybody singing on a 48 or a 47, they're a foot and a half away from the microphone. Like everybody in a studio now is eating the microphone. But 48s are really, or 47s. There's a, Tony Berg's got a 48 that's like, to me, the best sounding mic of all time. Yeah. But they're designed to be far away, and for whatever reason, modern recording, everybody's so used to getting right up on the microphone. But a lot of these mics are actually designed to do what they do at, 18 inches, 12 to 18 inches away, and not dead up on it like everybody is normally.
Yeah, that's a really important thing. I mean, and a lot of people, gets back to where this question started. People are not recording in nicely treated vocal booths or rooms and that sort of thing. So you do have to kind of make some compromise. But I think a big mistake I hear a lot in vocals is people just recording right up on the microphone. And it's just not how microphones are meant to be used.
I mean, some are, but like you try to use the tool for the gig,